to consider having one or two or even three of you, not four because then I have a quorum, to serve in a capacity. And the option is just have a meeting each time, but to avoid everybody coming together, having a meeting and doing the notices and all it takes to have that, if you're willing to allow one or two of the members of this RDC to sit with myself, Kathy and her office, Merrill, whoever is going to be involved in processing it, and then Casey Irwin with DLZ. Why Casey Irwin with DLZ? Because I'm not competent to understand whether or not they're applying monies in a pay request to a particular item in that project that meets Exhibit A, which is our capital commitment. So if they're working on a pipe or something, I don't know if it's the right pipe or if it's the one that goes to expand. That's my mechanical incompetency coming to play. So all of that said, unless you want to review each invoice, which is absolutely your prerogative, in a full meeting, it would be appropriate to, as a part of this, have a motion to authorize and pick one or two of you or three of you to sit in a setting where we can review each invoice. And if we are not comfortable, of course, bring it back to the full board. But if we're comfortable, submit it for payment. And so then we'll authorize Bank of New York to pay the invoice and go from there. It's kind of like having Kathy do it internally, but since she won't have the money, it'll be in an escrow agent, because that's what a state revolving loan fund wants. They want all of it held in one place. It's kind of like having her do it, but we're really approving it for the Bank of New York to submit the payment. So it'll go through the same process. We use our same disbursement request forms. It's just that we would collectively review the invoices, make sure it's in compliance with the agreement, and then we'd send notice out to the Bank of New York to actually pay the bill. So discussion, help me with that. Tell me how you'd like to proceed. And
So we need the authorization for the transfer
for the wire.
And then
Today.
And then if anybody wants to serve in a review capacity, we could put that all on the same motion. So yeah, if that's the will of the committee, I'm work close, so I'm available to do that if that's how we want to do it.
I'm available as well. If you want a second person?
I'll do it too if you want. If you need a third one.
So I'm going to make a note that Tom and Mark and Bob will serve in that capacity.
Bob and Tom are going to be on your committee.
You, all three, if a motion to that effect is made, and I can include that language in the motion. So,
Does anybody want to make that motion?
I so move.
Second.
All right. Is that all the details you need covered in that
I
motion?
think so, if that's okay with you. And I'm going to add in there, just so you know, as part of your motion, that these invoices can be approved outside of a meeting unless the committee doesn't agree unanimously. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. Is there any further discussion on that item of business? Okay, we'll have the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's all I have on that.
Okay. Move into our new business items. First item is the Lima residential TIF. I guess I'll just comment. I'd like to table that one until our next meeting. They're running into, as any large project, running into logistic issues and planning issues. So they're haven't had time to get us some of the documentation we need to get started on our agreement yet. So I think that's still forthcoming. Just running into the normal hiccups. So that work for you, Curtis?
Perfect.
The residential TIF, I guess it says Lima. On
Lima.
Yeah, it did say Lima on the
That's
agenda.
okay.
That's-
Lima was for their.
Yeah, sorry.
I put them together, and I apologize for.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
We're talking about
LaGrange residential TIF, sorry. I'm in automatic mode reading off the agenda.
We just skipped him. And
Yeah.
That's okay.
Bob, I thought you were starting all residential.
I can put that in here.
So that was residential TIF LaGrange. Now we'll move to Lima Township, which is the fire department. You have information for us on that?
I do. And of course, I'll just report what we have just to kind of bring everybody up to speed. As you know, we put out at your request and authorization, requests for quotes for the Howe Fire Department building, which is, I believe, owned by Lima Township. And I think Terry Iannarelli, the trustee, is here to talk about that. If you have questions specifically, the township board gave Mr. Iannarelli authority in their meeting to go through this process and essentially be responsible for the project and to authorize you to bid it out and to award it. So it will be your project. The contract will be with you. You will spend the money if you decide to do it. It just be at the direction and with the guidance that we received from Terry. And of course, he'll reach out to his chief, which I assume is, thanks to Bob, Josh Sturgill, who's also here. And so it's nice to meet Josh. And of course, you can ask them questions about it if you want. It's basically a re-roofing and a re-siding project. That's about as far as I'm going to go when it gets to, as you know, the mechanical side of it. But we took their specs, put them in a pretty significant RFQ. The auditor's office sent those out, processed those, and received them on or before the deadline, which was 3 p.m. on Friday, March 13th. Those requests came in, and I'll give you, for the record, just a quick review of those. Of course, you all have them available to you specifically, and I've provided those to you. The two that we received, not in any particular order, but the one, just the way I have them here. The first one was from the company is called Bontrager Builders, LLC. The amount is $179,943. They did provide alternates. If you want to add on to those, you can. The way that this was bid, I keep saying bid, it's a quote process because it is a repair as opposed to a public works, which requires formal bids. And so because of that, you can add and subtract and you can negotiate and you can really do whatever you want. The initial quote is just to get a sense of where they are, and then whoever you enter into a contract with, whether it's them or the other one, which I'll review here in a moment, you can negotiate and have a signed contract with them at that time. So Bontrager Builders submitted their base quote at $179,943, and they had a bunch of add-ons if you want them. That's a discussion among all of you as to whether or not to do that. And then the other one was from DNS Builders, Inc. It's $225,000, and they, of course, have an outline of what is included in their quote as well. So you'll have to compare those to understand apples to apples, apples to oranges, and try to determine what is best and whether or not the $50,000 difference, if you will, or so, is there because of, you know, the fact that maybe one has more items than the other and the other has options. It's really all up to you. You do not have to. This is, I think, the best part of the whole process, because it's a repair and not a public work project. You do not have to pick the lowest. You pick what's the statute says is the most advantageous. So you get to make that decision today as to which of these is the most advantageous. And once you've made that decision, however long it takes, you can authorize an award to either of these two builders, because they both are in compliance with the specs that we outlined. And you can then authorize our office to draft a contract that will be presented to the one that you award it to. And as long as they sign that contract that we present to them, they can be off and running. If for some reason we would run into trouble and they wouldn't agree or wouldn't sign the terms and conditions of the contract that incorporates these specs, well, obviously we'd come back to you and have another meeting to discuss that. These quotes are held open for 30 days. And so we have really to the middle of April to make a decision. Right. You're able to make the decision today if you want. So I'm going to be quiet unless you have questions. You can deliberate amongst yourselves, ask Terry and Josh questions, and do whatever you need to do to kind of put yourself in a position where you decide whether or not one of these is appropriate.
Yeah, Terry, would you want to talk a little bit about the project and your thoughts on the quotes?
Sure. It's an eyesore. One, fire station's an eyesore. Those firemen and first responders work really hard to respond to what we need, emergency situations. And we'd like to give them something to be proud of. But on top of all that, the efficiency of that building, we got leaks, roof leaks. We have, in fact, I've taken a few pictures here. We have done multiple patchworks, the windows and the doors, let air in. Our power bill and I know everybody's power bill went up. Went for about $900 to $1,600 a month. And I think we're losing a lot of energy through the cracks in the walls and the doors and whatever, if you'd like to look at those. And so this would tighten it up or button it up a little better, and efficiency would be, hopefully we wouldn't see any more increase in our power bill. But that's what we're working on. That's why we're here. I think it's been a long time coming. We've tried painting. We've tried multiple things to spruce it up, the exterior of the building. But none of that made it any more efficient. The only way to make it more efficient is to replace the exterior. So that's where we're at.
So I'm looking at one of the quotes we got sent to us last night that totals the 179. And it's at the bottom of a 9-page document. And there's numbers within that document, about values within that document. Are those added to the 179, or would those be in addition to the 179?
This last page, are in addition to, yes, the way I sent it to you.
Okay.
So good
So
question.
let's look at page 7, and I know everybody doesn't have it necessarily in front of them. Page 7, there's a line item E to voids, gaps, cracks, foamed and sealed, $1,800. I'm making the assumption that $1,800 is not in the 179.
That's correct.
Okay.
So there's multiple places I think that was in there like that.
So let's look at this one here,
Is that one
because that one's highlighted.
Yeah.
So there's line item 12 on page 6 has soffits, fascias, gutters, and downspouts. That has a total value of $13,988, but it's in bold
Are you on Bontrager's or DNS's?
on triggers.
Bond triggers.
Yeah, the way it was explained to me, Bob, is that the add-ons are on this page 10.
Yeah.
Additional
Oh,
options.
we don't have 10.
So I sent it
In
to
the
you as a
email.
separate document.
Yes.
Oh, it's a separate one. Okay, I'm sorry.
You can have this.
No, I got it.
Can
I
have
just,
to look at it real quick?
Yeah, please.
Evidently didn't get
Those-
okay,
The way it
yes,
was
you
explained,
did.
because I had the same questions. Those, and obviously we would make that clear in the contract because it is confusing. My understanding is that page 10 are the options. Everything else is included in the 179.
So the line items that we're reading in within the document should be included in the total of the document.
And I would, if you agree to go with them, make it clear in the contract. This is just a quote, because that's how it was explained to me, because I didn't understand it either, and I asked
Mhm.
Mr. Bontrager. So I believe that's the case, Bob. And if you did award it to him, you would want to make it contingent upon that, and I would make it clear in the contract so we don't have this confusion, because it is confusing.
So an additional question then, so the other contract
Mhm.
from DNS was what, approximately 40,000 more?
Yes.
Are any of these things that Bontrager's put in theirs, are they automatically included in that other one? And I don't know how, I mean, I haven't had time to
I haven't
really
had
look
time
through it
looking at it
and to know.
Well, Andy's sitting back here, so
If the scope of work was listed on the RFQ, this would not fit that.
Okay. Because I'm just like reading this one, it says any skirting boards that need to be replaced, it's an additional $6 a foot. It's, anything that's not structurally sound is an additional $375 per post.
right.
I have no clue whether those are good, bad, or otherwise, and
So since they're specifically listed separate, I would assume that those were not part of the asks put out in the quotes.
that's correct. Okay.
You really don't know what's underneath the metal until you get
No, I
there, right?
totally understand that. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I'm just curious if they're apples to apples or.
Well, that's the hard part, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not
Generally or
understand.
not.
We were kind of waiting for Terry to give us the recommendation, so.
And it's usually where we defer on someone like Theron to go through it and tell us whether it's.
Yeah, and the problem is of course, they're only good for 30 days. And
Yep.
so, yeah. That doesn't mean we can't get it there, but
Okay, that makes. So, okay. We approve you guys for one of the contracts or whatever. Obviously, we can approve it for what we want, but I don't think we're probably gonna approve for more than the quote. What happens when you find, I'm sure you're gonna find something. I don't think all these things will be listed and everything will be perfect. How would the process work then?
well, if they need more money, they would have to come back to you because if you're going to award it for 225 or 179, that's what the contract will provide, and any additional funds would have to come back to you unless they have funds that they have on that they're going to use.
The problem is it's our project, not their project.
It is.
Yeah,
I told you wrong when you asked that question to me. So generally, it'd be your project and we would reimburse you for the cost, but.
Terry, was there any of the additional items on the bond trigger quote that they had listed A through H that you for sure wanted to consider as options? I mean, some of them are, like I said, conditional to the project, but some of it was just options too. Did you have any?
Yeah, I did not get that document. So
You haven't seen the
I got his
quotes?
quote document and that was it. I didn't get mine's pretty messed up.
Well, Kathy was supposed to send it to you.
Page 10 on the,
it might be the last.
Yeah, it
page.
says additional options and costs to be considered. And it's dated March 12th, and I don't know if you got it or not, but we all got it, so.
Well,
I'm guessing both quotes include 26 gauge regular type metal, because on this page 10 here, it has an option of standing seam metal. I'm assuming both quotes, your quote probably had regular barn type metal on it.
PBR steel, normal pole barn steel.
And our specs were pretty loose because we took what Terry gave us, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It just, we didn't get real specific about that. And I can show you those specs if you want, but it basically provides for the steel roofing, soffit fascia, and the sizes and the amount of doors and windows, and 28 gauge steel siding and trim, and 28 gauge steel roof and vented ridge and things like that.
So you guys are okay with the standard pole barn type siding? You don't want necessarily the standing seam?
We actually had, when Perry first was out there, before the bid process through this committee, you know, Perry was out there with Bond Trigger Builders, and that's what he had recommended was the standing seam metal. And that was his original bid, was with the standing seam metal. Then once he got the bid sheet or the spec sheet from this committee, then he redid his, and then that's why that became a line item or an optional item on the end of it, because he had originally bid it that way and said that's what he would recommend doing. So there's no screws or whatever. And then, so I think that's why he made it an option then.
Yeah.
As far as
And
we're
we're gonna have
concerned,
a-
I guess we just want longevity. That's what.
I mean, you can have some, over time, have some longevity issues with all the screws in it. It just happens. But, you know, I mean, I'd be surprised if it's less than 20 or 30 years. You probably could answer that better than I. You have more,
What's that?
when you use standing seam compared to regular barn.
Yeah, generally standing seam will last longer,
Right.
but a lot of it comes down to the finish, the paint finish, and stuff that's used for the standing seam. So that would be one specification I would definitely.
With regular PBR metal, like you said, with exposed fasteners, they recommend usually every 20 years.
I was gonna say 20 years is usually a good rule of thumb for that. But
unless you use a fastener that has, where it covers that little washer that goes in. Upgrade a little bit by that. It's not huge cost. Some people are doing that too.
You guys have to tell us what you want.
I mean, I'm up for longevity. I'm more of a function over form guy. I want to make sure that the building lasts for the next generation, I guess. And if that's what it takes, you know, a standing seam, then that's fine. But that was not in the, you know,
Right.
with the other bid.
So I'm not a contractor. The work done at my house, I get hired out. I like to go for longevity myself. I think we need to hide the screws, however. So I guess we need to decide here, with Perry or.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Well, I think either one of them would do it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just,
You guys install.
We don't know what
standing seam?
Perry's final bid's gonna be, right? Because he didn't bid that.
Well, it's on A
it's
through H.
listed.
He
We just
actually
don't-
listed it as a line item on there.
Yeah, we don't know. I guess I didn't do the math on exactly how much more it would be. But I'm assuming DNS's is also not bid with standing seam either.
It is not.
Right, so it would be,
Which I guess this kind of is, because that's an option you can add right
Correct.
there, and that's how much it costs.
right.
So the 180,000, yeah, we have to add what to it?
24.
24. So we're at 204,000.
So basically, if you look at either bid, you can figure an additional 25,000 to go with the standing seam.
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean, just rough.
Rough, yeah.
Just so that I understand, which of A through H are you talking about? Is that the E? E. Okay, thank you. So if you did DNS, you would assume at least 24,000 extra for that on top. Okay.
Right. And it's 225.
And they may, if Andy says differently, then great, but if not, we'll make that assumption as you move along. And like I said, you don't have to award it to the lowest, you just have to award it to the one you believe is the most advantageous. That's what the statute says. And that is all up
I
to
think
you.
Okay, so I guess we're back to Perry, Bontrager. He's gonna be at 205,000 or thereabouts with the standard seam, am I right?
Mhm.
Compared to 250, because we just went from 225 to 250. I don't know how much money you guys have to. I guess I would go with 225 or the Perry Bontragers with the option.
So Terry, you're recommending the Bontrager Builders quote, but adding option E,
Correct.
just so I understand. Right, the minutes.
That would be accurate.
For G and H, the options on there, he had some options to do some work on the interior trims of the doors. I'm assuming the original spec only talked about the exterior trims. Did the interiors need, obviously it's probably gonna be easier to
Right.
do anything to the interiors when you have it all opened up.
Right.
Is that anything that needs to be considered, or those in pretty good shape?
The interior trims are in good shape, yes.
So was Bontrager not able to be here this morning?
No, I'm not real sure why he's
We
not.
didn't invite him.
Okay.
This, Andy chose to come, which is
Okay.
fine. We didn't not invite anybody. There,
So on your bid, it says standard color included. What's not standard color in it?
Oh, there's just a handful of colors on standard metal that are considered upcharge. You do the color. Copper, like the copper colored one, is usually an upcharge. I don't have it with me, there's a couple others, but your basic, white, red, black, green, blue, those are all standard colors.
Just for the record, we're pretty standard, so.
red, blue, white.
You're not doing copper accents on them?
So one of the
These are-
questions, I'd like to ask Andy a question. One of the, I gotta find it now. The questions was this, the date of the due date, the target due date for completion is July 15th, 2026. How's that work into your,
Works great,
okay,
depending on when the decision is made.
correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because I asked, that came up with Perry too, and he gets started on it next week and would definitely be done by then. So,
I guess one thing I would say is if Bond Triggers Builders goes over 200,000 with their alternates, they would then have to provide a proposal bond, would they not?
Yes.
Right.
Yep, and I did make him aware of that. Thank you. What Andy's referring to is on our specs in the statute, if when you do a project that's over 200, it adds additional requirements. DNS has already provided those. Bond Trigger has not because,
And, e-verify all your employees.
yeah, and they've done that on the jail project, so I am aware of that, but yes, that's all. But they have not provided those bonds and they would be required to, so. And they are aware of it and they did on the jail project, so I'm confident they will. Not trying to argue or in any way debate, just it's a good point. And yes, DNS already complied with that. Bond Trigger has not because they weren't required to, but if you do award it with the add-on, they will have to, and it'll be subject to that.
So that wouldn't be probably a starting date of next week then.
Well, I don't know how fast they can get a bond, but
So
they did
neither,
I'm sorry.
let me clarify, neither quote, as I can see, has any additional insulating value added. Is that correct or incorrect?
According to the specs that was sent out, any insulation that would be voided, when they take the exterior metal off, if there was insulation missing or whatever, then those things would have to be added. Also, there was 2 doors on the west end of the building, 2 overhead doors that would be removed, just metal. We don't use those 2 overhead doors. So those areas would obviously have to have insulation, and I am almost certain that was in both bids for that insulation to be replaced.
Yeah, good question. Item 13 says replace or install new insulation during the installation of siding and roofing as approved by the project manager.
I'm guessing it's a truss, building with trusses on it.
Yes, sir. It's an
Have you
original
guys-
Morton building, yeah.
Has anyone checked the R value of the ceiling?
So when we first moved in over there about 12 years ago, the Firemen's Association, we put an additional 12 inches of blown-in insulation throughout the building. So the insulation, the ceiling insulation is good. If we can just keep the rain from leaking on it and messing that up. So we do have a few places in the roof that we know leak. We just kind of keep an eye on them.
That's good.
So Terry, your recommendation again is?
Well, that's a tough one. I
Feel
think,
bad 'cause I'm sitting there.
well, yeah,
Some of you look so bad.
I know, Andy. We've been friends a long time, I know.
Yeah.
If Bond Triggers can come up with the necessary paperwork here, I think we need to go with Bond Trigger because of their quote, okay? And I know some of his work. I know some of Andy's work too. I think they're both interchangeable. So with that thought, Perry Bond Trigger should be the way to go here. If it was coming out of my pocket.
And just for clarification, I know Andy's local, Bond Triggers is a local, LaGrange County business, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
That's how I think.
He lives over by me.
100 north.
He just built a newer place over by me on 100 North.
He's done a lot of work in the county.
If, since that alternate would put it over 200,000 and he comes back and says, well, I need an extra,
Oh, yeah, you'd want to.
want money for the
You
bond
want to
too.
address that contingency. So we, obviously, if you can't do it, then you could award now, so you don't have to come back the second with the add-on. I guess I'm not going to ask Andy to tell me if he can do the add-on for 24,000. That would become the only dilemma, is we don't know what the exact number is, and it's not fair to ask him that number today, obviously. So I would think you'd have to give me some kind of not to
We know what the
exceed.
number is from Bontrager.
I mean, if the contractor can't get their bond and
Oh, okay.
the second bid is then you want to
The
award
only one
that
that's
as a
really, yeah.
condition, how, help me to know, do I just say it's 24, and if Andy can do it, fine. If he can't, then we come back and have a
We
meeting.
can have another meeting.
So that's, there you go. That would be the option. If you want to award it to Perry based on the, I shouldn't say Perry, award it to Bontrager Builders LLC per the recommendation of Terry with the add-on of E, subject to them complying with the requirements for a project that's over 200,000, as of course Andy has outlined. It is in the specs. It says it in there. And if they can't within so many days, probably the expiration of the quote would be my recommendation. Then you award the second one as within that time frame, which is 30 days from the date it was received. So I think they were received on the 12th.
Yeah.
I don't verify that, but the point is you could do it all today as long as you understand the numbers and you tell me that it's not going to exceed 24. And if Andy later finds out that he's being asked to sign a contract and he says, I can't do it for 24, that's fine. We'll just have to do this again. And it kind of slows up
Yeah.
Terry's project.
So I'm going to speak here. We've worked with Bontrager in the past. It wasn't the smoothest. We've dealt with it. He's not here today. DNS is. I would have no issues with awarding the higher bid, just my opinion.
If you're going to do that, then we probably ought to get Andy to tell us whether he thinks he can fit within there or if that number is just crazy outrageous for him, at least to get a sense.
So we have a kind of a roundabout number of what it could be.
Yeah, because I kind of need a real number. Yeah. Kathy can't have a roundabout
I can
number.
get a number on standing seam for the roof and give you a submittal on that.
Okay.
If that helps out on my price.
Yeah, that would help.
But you wouldn't have that number now.
Not in my head, no, sir, no.
So it still requires another
I
meeting.
just need, probably, I could have it to you guys by Wednesday of next week.
Yeah, it doesn't change anything. The standing seam metal that Bontrager's, was that roof and siding or just the roof?
Or just roof.
Just
Okay,
Just the roof.
yeah, that's right. Just
Does it specify what gauge?
26.
26.
He's
26.
26, I think they're at 28.
Lifetime warranty, standing seam, 26 gauge. Hidden fastener roofing trim. I don't know what all that means, but it means something to you.
You said what I needed to know.
It's like citing a code to him.
Good. I know what that is.
And was half-inch OSB on the roof in the quote?
No.
That's on here too.
That is
So,
part of that standing
That would be
seam
part of the standing seam.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have to do that.
I did not know that. I did not know.
So either way, if we're looking at standing seam on that roof, we're at another meeting regardless.
What, why?
Well,
Only if we award, we already have the quote from.
if we went with bond triggers, it wouldn't be.
They already put it in there.
But if it was, if we went with DNS because
Right.
we wanted to switch in, we'd have to have another.
Bond Triggers has whatever you just said, a half.
Which we have another meeting possibly
May
scheduled.
29th.
Yeah.
And we'll.
That's
these
not in the
quotes
time
expire,
frame. Yeah.
By law, they expire.
Yep.
We have to start over again, which is not hard. We just reprint the documents and put Kathy back to work.
Don't worry. It's a limited time frame. You only have to do it for a little while longer.
So really, if we want to look at this, we've got DNS needs to get us a new number, and Bond Triggers is obviously going to have to get us a new quote with their having to get bonding.
They won't have to do a new quote.
Okay.
They've already said that, well, this is what it will cost. So not trying to advocate, I'm not. I'm just saying, you have a number here that's already includes that, including them having to get their bond. So it's going to come out of their profit if they have to. So yeah, they've said they will comply with the specs. So.
And it's on here.
Yep.
Maybe that's the best way to go.
I don't know. I just.
I think Jim and I both have a little bit of heartburn.
Yeah.
Just put it that way with some of the issues we've had to deal with. But if you want the project started, that's your option pretty much with the upgrading it to standing seam. Am I wrong in saying that way, Kurt?
What'd you say?
If they want to go a standing seam.
Yes.
And we wanted to go with DNS, we'd have to have another meeting. We couldn't.
Yeah, you have to.
Do it today.
It's going to force us to
Correct.
all reconvene.
Because that he wasn't able to put the standing seam because he didn't know about it.
Right. But it wasn't an option. This is just something that,
Right.
for whatever reason, this guy provided an additional option, and it wasn't
It wasn't in our
requested.
quote.
No, and so whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But it was, yeah, it was just an option. So if you want to do that standing seam, unless Andy's willing to commit to a number, you can't do it today to award it to him. Because it's not a quotable thing not their fault. They didn't provide it as an option.
How long would we have to wait before we could have another meeting? I mean, obviously Andy said
We
next Wednesday.
We
but-
have to, yeah, I mean, unless you authorize it to be approved subject to, and you throw some max number at it, that's the problem, is I
Right.
gotta have a real number.
Yeah.
Yeah, that page 10, I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, here.
I can't find it.
What's as soon as that meeting could occur, Kurt? If we
Well,
had-
48 hour notice we have to have, but I don't know as far as calendars in this room available. Mine's gonna be the worst, coordinating all of you. I gotta send out, it's a process. It's not
If we don't do it within 2 weeks, then none of the
I'm
quotes
not
are
gonna be here for 11 days,
Yeah.
starting Tuesday, so it's
Yeah, I'm
not
just,
gonna happen before then.
yeah. So the quotes will have expired. So it
Yeah.
would be, we'd have to requote it. We wouldn't just be
You'd
able
have to
to.
redo the whole thing. And what I would suggest, if you're gonna do that, for whatever the reason is you wanna do it, you basically are gonna have to redo the whole thing, start all over again, and probably do it at your May meeting, which is gonna delay the process. You could do it sooner, but that puts you in another meeting, which is a big expense to incur for the possibility that this is gonna have a reasonable number. I'm not saying it won't, but we don't know what that number is. What if it comes in and it's 50,000? You have that whole process to do that, and you may lose the other option. I don't know. It's for you to think through.
It's just, that was one of the big ones, and Tracy would be able to tell you more. But it's a few issues.
Like I said, your responsibility is to decide what is the most advantageous in the spending of your money. And whichever that is, if that means having another meeting and reconvening and redoing it, that's what we'll do.
Well, we've got a $40,000 difference in quotes. That's a lot of money. We've got the opportunity to award it to Bond Trigger with the standing seam metal roof. Even if we go back to DNS, we're still looking at additional, at minimum 40,000, maybe 50,000. We've had experience. He has worked with us in the past. That being said, I'm going to make a motion that we award the contract to Bond Trigger with the addition of E. Was there another one we needed to add on?
That's
why I was looking at it.
Subject to
Just
the
in case.
compliance with the bond, et cetera, which is part of the
2
spec,
weeks.
but yeah. And I'll make sure they understand that. And you could add to that, if it's all right, authorize the contract, which our office will prepare to be signed outside of a meeting so that we don't have to convene a meeting to sign the contract if they are able to comply.
Added on.
Do we want to put a not to exceed total?
We have it.
We have a total?
Yep.
Based on this,
Yep, based on this.
24,000 up.
Could I amend his motion?
You can
and
do
add
whatever
a
you want.
5%,
What'd you say?
add a 5% construction contingency to that? To maybe cover some of items A
Yeah,
through H
sure.
that may come up that need to be done.
Yep.
Specifically, damage that is uncovered after the metal's removed that needs to be replaced, because some of that stuff
Okay.
is not in here. It's not in theirs, it's not in this one. So if we had a 5% contingency, it might prevent us from needing to do something else in the future.
Jim, were you just getting ready to add that to your motion, or did you want to go through the amendment?
I just added it right to the
did.
motion. In the original motion.
Took the words right out of his mouth.
I will second it.
That is great. Bob, second. Okay. And before you vote, what I will tell you is that, or ask you to consider is after you vote, do you want to do anything about the contingency award for DNS the way it's bid without adding anything if Bontrager is not able to comply? Or do you want to just take the position that if they aren't able to comply, we're going to redo this in May? Help just think that through a second. Help me to understand what your thought would be.
Well, in my mind, if bond triggers can't comply with this, we have to open it up anyways.
You wouldn't have to. You could award it to DNS without the.
Standing seam.
Right, but I don't know that that's what we.
That's what you want.
I don't know that, I mean, it doesn't
I would
sound,
agree- I would agree.
I mean, I would think that it's gonna have to,
So we come back and do
yeah,
that.
I would think so.
That's fair.
I mean, I would hate to give it to them after, for something less than what we were asking of the other one.
Yeah,
Does that
and
make
I'm
sense?
not disagreeing why I'm thinking, and this is
Price
my
will be
lack of
closer.
mechanical. Yeah, the prices are going to be close, even though it's not what they want.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a lot closer, that's for sure.
That's the only reason for asking.
But it's still be the differential that there is now. You know,
Well, there would be, yeah, we're be looking at 100 and,
we can
205
apples to
compared to-
apples comparison of the.
Right. yeah, we'd be about 20,000 difference. It would narrow the gap, but we wouldn't be getting the same. roof.
Narrow the gap, wouldn't get exactly what they want.
But if the roof lasts 20 years, it can be replaced with standing seam at that time. And
Yeah.
20 years from now, the
Yeah.
way the government's going with trustees and things, we may be limited on the amount of fire departments we have.
Well, even 20 years,
Just
just
saying.
replaced with screws rather than metal.
Yeah.
You don't have
The metal itself in 20 years.
Yeah,
Because right now they cost twice as much as they did 10 years ago.
And the only thing
40
that
year
would
payback.
do is accelerate the process so that
Which is the biggest
It is
downside
the
is to
big-
not accelerate the process.
Mhm.
But there's a couple months worth.
Yeah, let's go with the
20 years.
original, and if
Couple
it doesn't
months,
work,
not
then
gonna
we
even just
relook
start
at
over.
it. Yes.
Good coverage.
Mike,
and that's- It
All
doesn't.
right, so there is a motion on the floor that's been seconded to go with Bontrager Builders with the option and that all the contingencies that were discussed, 5%, Bob mentioned. Is there any further discussion on that before we vote? Are we comfortable there, understanding of that? All right. We'll vote then. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay,
Do we need to appoint a project manager or is?
I've
by
already got
default-
it in the specs.
Oh, it was, okay.
If you don't like
I
it,
didn't know
we
if we
can change
officially
it.
had to do that.
You can stop by anytime you want.
But good
Couple
question.
pointers.
And yes, it's in there. So. Okay, so what I will do for everybody's benefit is reach out to Bontrager. We'll make sure before I spend your money drafting a contract that they can get the bond. If they can't get the bond, then of course we'll be back at this and I'll process everything for doing it in May. And we'll make sure that Andy and everybody gets an opportunity to quote it again with the add-on like you wanted. And we'll just redo this again in May. If they're able to comply, I'll put the contract together, add E, make sure it's within that $205,000 number as we've discussed, and then I'll get it to Mark to sign. Is that fair?
That's good.
Okay. And thanks to
Thank you.
everyone for their patience. And the ladies did all the hard work in
Yeah.
the meet in the back of the room over there, so thank them too. So
All right.
good discussion.
Yeah, very good. We'll move on to the TIF management report. So this is a report that we have to send to the state about how we're managing our TIF funds that was distributed. Kurt, do you have any comments on the?
Other than just that, with Kathy's help, of course, she put together for us the exhibit. I know I sent you the whole long, but I thought it would be good, especially for the new people, to see the history. What matters, of course, is that one exhibit that basically is a spreadsheet that, that is, and you can pass this around if you want, but it would be the last item in that Excel spreadsheet that I sent you that basically just shows the status of your current funds as of the end of 25. And so, yes, Mark, this management report as modified to remove Charlie's name and add David Larmer, who I missed somehow, and I apologize for that. Thanks, Bob, for catching that. Will be attached to this exhibit if you approve it. It'll be uploaded by Kathy in her office probably today, I'm guessing, and we'll distribute it on behalf of Mark. If it's all right, I'll take that and either myself or Kathy will present it April 13th to the county council, which we're required to do. So we'll then have met all of our April 1 and April 15 deadlines. And so we'll be good for now on those issues. So long-winded answer to your question, yes. What I'm looking for is a motion basically to authorize and approve this report and to have it filed with the county council and the commissioners.
Anybody want to make that?
I'll
motion?
so move.
No? Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Bob. Any further discussion on the TIF management report? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Then I need a motion to authorize the president, or in his absence, the auditor, to present this report officially on the minutes and in the record of the county council meeting on April 13th.
I will make a motion to have whomever is present to do that.
Second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries.
Okay, great.
Is that all the
That's all.
actions we need on the management report?
Yes.
Okay. We will move on to item 7, which is to review and consider the AV pass-through analysis that Jeff Peters prepared for us. This is talks about the monies that were projected to collect in each of the TIF districts and the funds that have been allocated to be spent there. Kurt, any further comment on that?
Yeah, other than just to draw your attention to the, I guess, substantiation or the recommendation that you're going to hopefully make today in approving this resolution at some point. This document that Mark refers to, the operative language is on page 2. It's before the chart, and it basically just says, the financial advisor has reviewed all of your expenditures and your proposed expenditures, your revenues, and et cetera, and that you need all of the funds and there's none available to pass through to the taxing units for the 2027 budget cycle. And that so they're asking that you capture all of the increment in 2026. And so that is what we refer to as the determination of no excess assessed value. And that this report, along with the resolution, if you approve it, and the certifications that I have to send to the taxing units, will basically then allow you to continue to capture all of the increment revenue from the 3 TIF districts. So you can discuss, of course, each of the individual ones. As you all know, especially those of you that have been here for a long time, those proposed expenditures are kind of pie in the sky out there proposals, but they are realistic discussion items that you've had over the years. Of course, the one in South Milford, which is 35 million and change, was a planned area that is probably not going to actually happen, but there's still things. You did a utility study out there, and there's a railroad that goes through there, and so you still have those planned expenditures. If you no longer want those expenditures and you want to pass through some of this increment, you don't want to pass this resolution today. But in essence, this is establishing for the record that you've done that due diligence and that you are in a position to capture and continue to capture all the increment in all three of those TIF districts. So that's kind of the summary. So of course, I want you to discuss. The other thing that we have to do is get ready for the annual presentation to taxing districts and taxing units. And we have to prepare a report, which the financial advisor will help us with your blessing. We'll send it out to all the taxing units. I think there's like 75 letters that go out. All the board members get the impact study, which is always a good discussion about what is the real impact versus what does it look like on paper. And so that's been completed already. And I think you have. If you haven't, I'll make sure you have one. So I'm looking for first, of course, approval to send that report out and to set the meeting for May 29th at 9 a.m. And that'd be the first motion. Then the second one would be, of course, to pass this resolution. So first motion, when you're ready, after you discuss it, is to authorize the setting of that annual meeting presentation, May 29 at 9, and to authorize our office to work with the financial advisor to get that document sent out and to invite all those people to the meeting, and to, of course, have Jeff Peters appear by Teams or Zoom on the screen so that he can actually make the presentation and you can grill him with questions.
So you want to take that for setting the next date is the first item?
Yeah, that particular establishing the annual presentation and the authorizing me to work with Jeff Peters to have him here for that meeting. That would be the first motion I'm looking for.
I got a question on the proposed revenue reduction for 2027 on all of them. Is it because the TIFs are expiring, or is it?
You mean, so Tom, so that I know what you're talking about, where it says
The
net
first-
increase or decrease in fund?
Beginning cash balances,
Okay.
and then down towards the end at the ending fund balance showing
Okay.
a negative on the
Yeah,
2027.
that's a really good question. So in order for you to continue to capture the increment, you have to prove that there's a need. To prove that there's a need, you have to show that there's anticipated expenditures, which is what those numbers are. Those aren't actual expenditures. They are what your plan says, which if we go back and dig through your plan, it says you're going to possibly do those things, possibly being the operative word. And so because it's possible that you're going to do $35 million in projects next year, it's in the negative, which substantiates the ability to continue to capture. If it was in the positive, we couldn't capture the increment. So it's kind of reverse engineered to show that it's in the negative, planned to be in the negative. The reality of it is it's, as you can see over the years, it's not going to be in the negative.
What about the,
Same with the other two.
Like the South Milford TIF was set up initially because there was going to be a biodiesel facility in that area, and then it never transpired. But the TIF was set up to try and help capture that increment, to provide some infrastructure facilities to get that place up and running, and it just never transpired. So that's what initially set up that, and that's why that number looks so big, is because there was a lot of stuff that was going to need to be done there to make all that happen. So rail extensions, and we were talking about a lot of different things. So that's what that number is from, and that's what that looks like, but it's not money that we spend and don't have.
The crazy part about that is one business could come down there and it would be right back on the table.
Yeah.
Because it's still possibility,
Right.
just hasn't come to fruition.
And there would be a lot of upgrading to that road, to the county line road, needs to be done.
And I think to read this document, and I know you don't, I know you're reading them together. You have to kind of read this document with the one that we just went over, because the one we just went over is reality.
Right.
That's what we really have and what we're really going to get, even though all your funds are appropriated until you spend them. This is anticipated, planned. Yeah.
Because we wouldn't even have that kind of money in that TIF unless something went in there.
That's correct.
So you're anticipating it's coming in, but yet it hasn't, so.
And surprisingly, it's generated a lot more than I thought it would. So I guess it's because of the improvements that the mills probably made, things like that.
Well, the terminal that was
and the
built
terminal
there.
that went in, yeah.
That's right. I mean, it's kind of a strange way for us to put ourselves in a position to be able to capture this increment. You could get challenged by those taxing district schools, et cetera. They tend to let you do it, so that you can provide for additional infrastructure that hopefully brings jobs and people and puts butts in the seats, right? Come on, The reality of it is that it is a planned number, not likely to actually occur, I suppose. But we never know. And we
It's
got
the
to,
pie in the sky number.
it's a hope. Yeah. If you don't plan for it, though, you can't capture the increment. So that's the reason. And it has to show in the negative, or you can't capture either, because the negative shows that you have a need and that it's not generating enough revenue to exceed your need.
Right.
Yeah, it's a substantiation exercise, maybe is the best way to put it. Yeah, so that we can continue to capture these. Okay, great questions, though. Yeah. So, yeah, looking for a
I would
motion.
make a motion to have that meeting on May the 29th at 9 a.m. and to present to the taxing units the document that you and Jeff Peters are going to work on and help prepare for us.
I'll second it.
Doesn't matter.
Peter was first.
Got it.
Any more discussion on that? Putting that together? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Now, we can do the resolution.
So now, yeah, the next one's the resolution to accept the AV pass-through analysis. Is that correct?
And to capture all the
And to
increment.
capture all the increment, right?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Jim, thanks. All right, motion and second. Any further discussion on that? Comfortable with the 100% capture? All right, we'll vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same. All right.
Okay, I think that's all I need. I have documents for Mark to sign, and I have a resolution for all of you. I'll just start it.
Ben was with his book earlier.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, I don't ignore Chad because I don't like him.
That's not why I ignored it.
That's how I ignore it.
Yeah, you're not even on
No,
there.
he's a non-voting member by state law, so it's not that. I always feel bad. I can't really put a line on it. I do put him on the agenda and all that.
You have other things you want to do?
Then I have some for you, Mark, so.
Okay.
Put it in my hand.
Is there any other business that needs to come before the RDC this morning?
Did you? Okay. How long ago?
10, 12 years ago.
All right, well,
That was the.
if that's the case. Is there a motion to adjourn?
That's an upgrade.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, our meeting is now adjourned. Thank you all for your participation.
Okay.
So
All this is one thing I just sent.
It's coming down the pipe.